The year is 1843. The place, the soot-choked alleys of East London. They're tucked away like a half-forgotten dream as a nameless toy shop. Imagine it, if you will, wedged between the time-worn cobbler's den and a crumbling chapel. The building itself appears much like any other curiosity shop. You might see the delicate lace draped over shelves, faded ribbons, and the air thick with dust and the scent of lavender. But to the locals, especially the children, this place is a hushed whisper, a story best left untold. They find a kill, still warm, drawers filled with hair, tiny teeth, and scraps of lace. Thatch is arrested, but dies before trial, muttering only the words, "She wanted to stay." From that day forward, no child dares venture near the shop. But the dolls remain, unclaimed, unmoving, yet somehow never gathering dust. Some say the girl in blue still watches from the window, her glass eyes forever fixed on a mother who never returned. For here resides a man with no past, no family, and no expression but the distant gaze of his cataract-clouded eyes. It's not as playthings, but as vessels. Vessels for what, you ask? That tale is still unfolding, and its threads run deeper than you, dear listener, could ever imagine. Now, if you find yourself intrigued by tales of the eerie and the unexplained, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. For within these digital confines, I weave narratives that blend the macabre with the mystical. With each story, I aim to transport you to a realm where shadows dance and secrets whispered. So come, dear listener, and let us journey together into the heart of the unknown. For every full moon, I shall return with a new tale, ensuring our paths converge once more. Until then, may your days be bright and your nights oh so very quiet. Thank you for listening. They call him Mr. Thatch, a humble sculptor of porcelain, but not of the delicate teacups or dinnerware. Oh no, Thatch crafts dolls. And these are no ordinary dolls. Her heads are life-sized with skin as pale as porcelain, seemingly aglow in the dim oil lamplight. Their lashes are fine, plucked from a living child, some say, and their glass eyes shimmer with the clarity of unshed tears. Young Thomas swore. He saw a girl doll blink at him through the glass. Little Mary claimed to hear lullabies sung at night, in a language that defied understanding. Yet the shop remains untouched by thieves, fire, or the relentless march of rot. As if some unseen force preserves it, like a wound that refuses to heal. Attired in French silk dresses, layered in lace, their cheeks softly blushed, lips parted as if on the verge of a whisper. Such artistry commands a hefty price, yet Mr. Thatch spends not a single shilling. He simply crafts one doll after another as though compelled by an unseen force older than money, older even than madness. Children in Whitechapel tell tales of these dolls moving on their own. Then one fateful day, the quiet unravels. It begins with Elise Atwood, a girl of 10 summers, pampered, brilliant, and utterly fearless. Her governess warns her to steer clear of Thatch's window, but Elise only laughs, declaring the dolls look lonely and want a friend. That stormy evening, Elise vanishes. Last known steps lead to the toy shop. Her bonnet is found at the base of the display case, her parasol lying open on the floor as though dropped mid-curtsy. When questioned, Mr. Thatch says nothing. He only raises a trembling hand and points to the newest doll in the window. A figure in pale blue with wheat-colored curls and lips frozen in a sigh. The resemblance to the missing child is unmistakable. The constables, spurred into action, raid the shop, but find no trace of Elise's body. And so, dear listener, the silent terror of Victorian dolls began. In the chilling realm of horror, where fear takes center stage and darkness weaves its tales, I invite you to brace yourself for an extraordinary journey into the abyss. A twisted tale of human obsession and the dark secrets that lie beneath the surface. But before we delve into the depths of this terrifying narrative, I urge you to subscribe to our channel. Join our growing family of horror enthusiasts and become part of the frightening fun. Don't miss out on any of our spine-chilling content. Now, let the nightmare begin. The shop was boarded up tight. Scraping, tapping, and most spine-chilling of all, the sound of laughter carried on the wind. With the townsfolk's concerns growing louder and their fears intensifying, Alcott prepared to face the unknown. Despite the passage of a year, not a speck of dust appeared to have settled on the furniture. Moreover, not a single thread seemed out of place upon the lifeless dolls that lined the shelves. They stood frozen in an eternal tableau, their glassy eyes staring vacantly into space. But his most disturbing discovery was yet to come. Armed with nothing but his faith and a heavy heart, he stepped across the threshold into the musty interior of the shop. The newspapers labeled it a tragic case of madness, a momentary lapse of reason. But those who had read his journals knew the truth. Each doll carried a chilling tale of its own. A girl who woke screaming every night at exactly 3:07 a.m. A governess who swore she heard giggling behind locked doors. A family whose mirrors refused to reflect their youngest daughter. They found solace in the knowledge that they were not alone in their fears. Till then, stay safe and keep your porcelain dolls locked away. Constable Clark, a man of logic and reason, dismissed these reports as the figments of overactive imaginations. The dolls became vessels of fear, whispering tales of darkness and despair to those who crossed their path. When as the years turned into decades, and the decades into centuries, the memory of the enigmatic Jack Thatch and his macabre creations endured, forever entwined with the chilling legends that surrounded them. Porcelain dolls, once symbols of beauty and grace, became associated with the darkest of fears. Aristocrats locked their precious porcelain heirlooms away, fearing the malevolent spirits that might reside within them. Children's nurseries saw a surge in stuffed animals, cloth dolls, and painted wooden toys, anything but porcelain. He believed that rats, or perhaps a band of mischievous street urchins, were responsible for the haunting sounds. The public records from Thatcher's arrest clearly stated 36. What in the world could explain this discrepancy? But he had undoubtedly revived something sinister, something that had lain dormant for centuries. He delved into ancient texts, poring over centuries-old manuscripts in search of any mention of doll-making practices and their potential connection to the occult. He questioned aging archivists, traveling to distant lands, hoping to uncover any semblance of similar rituals. Just then, his eyes fell upon the newcomer. She stood apart from the rest, dressed in faded gray and possessing eyes that seemed darker than the others. Her lips were parted, not in a whisper of a smile, but in a silent scream. Clark, ever the skeptic, waved away Alcott's concerns with a dismissive laugh, but the priest's unease only grew. But Father Alcott, ever cautious and deeply troubled, sensed there was more to these occurrences than met the eye. Not long after Thatcher's death, the news of Elise's disappearance spread like wildfire across London. Whispers echoed through the crowded streets, weaving a chilling tale of a missing child in a sinister shop on the corner of Whitechapel. The once bustling store now stood as a symbol of fear, its windows vacant and lifeless. Curiosity and apprehension hung heavy in the air, with each passerby wondering about the fate of the young girl and the mysterious events that transpired within those four walls. Word of the tragedy reached the influential, the aristocracy, the clergy, and the press. Mothers clutched their daughters' clothes, shielding them from the dangers that lurked in the shadows. Father Alcott, a man of God, and Constable Avery Clark, a seeker of justice. Their paths converged at the heart of the enigma, the boarded-up shop on Drossel Street. Servants crossed themselves, seeking divine protection as they hurried past the abandoned shop. The very foundation of Whitechapel seemed to tremble with unease. But amidst the chaos, two figures emerged, each drawn to the mystery in their own way. As time went on, rumors swirled, giving rise to an unsettling theory. Some whispered that something ancient and malevolent had awakened beneath the cobblestones of Whitechapel, something older than crime and darker than sin. It was as if an insidious presence had stirred from its slumber, preying on the innocent and leaving a trail of terror in its wake. 1 year had passed since Elise vanished, and now, in the eerie silence of the night, strange sounds echoed within the derelict shop. He decided to confront the unsettling reality head-on. As he ventured deeper into the shop, his eyes adjusting to the dim light filtering through the grimy windows, he noticed something that sent a shiver down his spine. And then his gaze fell upon a detail that made his blood run cold. He counted 37 dolls. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and a growing sense of dread, he began a relentless pursuit of answers. His letters home became increasingly frantic, filled with cryptic phrases like binding souls through craft, vessels made pure by fire, and darker practices of old Prague and Bavaria. One fateful morning, Father Alcott was found hanging from the bell tower of St. Dunstan's Church, his lifeless body wrapped in a noose of lace. With each passing generation, whispers of the dreadful tale persisted, evolving into eerie folklore that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to listen. Yet the porcelain dolls did not disappear altogether. Some changed hands at auctions, while others passed quietly through bloodlines, shrouded in silken secrecy. It's important to note that not all these dolls were crafted by Thatch, and so the legend continued, morphing and adapting, yet always retaining its terrifying essence. If you enjoyed this terrifying installment, my dear listeners, then prepare yourself for even more spine-chilling adventures, because part 3 is where the dolls learn to listen. In the beginning, there were just the dolls. Stoic, placid faces staring out from under furrowed brows, stitched with unblinking yellow eyes. Their limbs impossibly slender, perpetually frozen in an uncanny parody of childhood. The first stirrings began subtly, a tilt of the head no one remembered posing, a hand that rested slightly closer to the crib each night. Then the scratching started, soft at first, almost imperceptible, like fingernails on wood floors, even in locked rooms. One collector awoke to find his locked display case shattered, but no sign of entry. One such case occurred in Yorkshire, where an entire estate burned to the ground. Not because the story ended, but because it had spread too far. Children no longer feared dolls, they wanted them. Cheap imitations flooded markets, bearing faces that echoed Thatch's work, though none could replicate it. But those who owned the real ones, they kept quiet and locked their nursery doors, because the dolls had learned more than to listen. They had learned to wait. In the ashes, a single doll remained, perfectly intact, propped open as if to view the devastation it had wrought. Some said the dollmaker crafted each face to resemble a soul in torment. Others claimed he captured the essence of unspeakable sins, sewing them into every stitch. One theory held that Thatch himself animated the dolls, imbuing them with fragments of his own immortal soul, trapping his consciousness in a waking nightmare. Whatever the truth, the only certainty was the terror in his work. Another swore he saw a fleeting glimpse of a tall, gaunt man dusting the shelves with a cobwebby cloth. Still, he found no trace of forced entry. Most chilling were the rumors that swirled around the dollmaker's homeland. Entire villages spoke of a creeping dread that blanketed their streets at dusk, of whispering voices carried on the wind. Even the stoutest hearts grew thin-lipped and fearful when the sun dipped low and shadows stretched long. For some, the dolls returned, left on doorsteps with a single white rose tucked under one arm, forever frozen in a gesture of silent accusation. Then bolder, more insistent, sometimes in the dead of night, always when no one was looking. These were not the first dolls to come alive. Long before Thatch, wooden puppets had danced in the fires of opulently dressed aristocrats. Porcelain figures had sung in music boxes while painted wooden ones told stories of Bluebeard and Little Red Riding Hood. But those were fairy tales. This was different, because what happened next was always personal, always terrifying. Households that owned a Thatch doll, whether by inheritance, chance, or blind curiosity, began to note things. Candles extinguished in perfect timing with whispered prayers, laughter not childlike, but something older, thinner heard through the cracks of nursery doors. His shop had never been listed in any registry. He seemed to appear in London in the early 1830s, already gray-haired, already making dolls. Some claimed he came from Moravia, others from the Carpathians. One manuscript linked him to a secret sect of craftspeople, those who believed that pure suffering could be sculpted into form, and that pain could trap the unspoken. One such account came from a manor in Kent. Lady Primrose had inherited 2 Thatch dolls from a distant aunt. Her youngest daughter, Annabel, began talking to them Carla and Neve. She called them Az, though they were sisters. At first the family found it charming. But when Annabel's governess was found unconscious at the foot of the stairs, her mouth stuffed with porcelain dust, questions began. Annabel insisted the dolls were protecting her. She was going to send them away, the girl whispered. They didn't like that. No. The dolls had never been moved. But their hands were different, scratched with faint stains that looked too much like rust or old blood. Scholars emerged, occultists, professors, collectors, attempting to trace Thatch's origins. No birth certificate, no tax records. Then the dolls began to vanish. Not all at once, but steadily, inexplicably, from attics and nurseries. But fear turned to fascination when museums began reporting their cases broken, but no sign of entry. By the end of the century, the whispering ceased. Now don't miss our video on creepy antique medical equipment that's for sale. Or check out, there is a painting housed in a private collection in Bath. It is unsigned, darkened with age, and locked behind glass. The collector refers to it only as the tithing. The dolls did not merely echo their creator's will. They waited because something told them to, because Thatch, or whatever moved his hands, had not created vessels for lost souls. He had built anchors for something trying to return. The rituals, the kill, the silence it, was preparation. Each doll, a sigil, a mark, part of a grand design, a map not of geography, but of invitation. You might already be part of the story, and some stories never let go. If you'd like to help us make more content like this, you can support us through the link in the description. Thank you. And when the final circle is complete, the return begins. This month's box is all about outer space. Every purchase helps an animal in need. And this month we're donating to the ASPCA. It shows a young girl, her features delicate, but her expression vacant, standing in the center of a circle of dolls. They are life-sized, dressed in elaborate Victorian gowns. But the chilling detail lies in their posture. They are not posed like playthings. They are praying. One is in a sealed crate beneath the British Museum, registered only as unknown French Marat. Another lies buried beneath a collapsed estate in Sussex, sealed with salt and iron. The third has not been seen since 1954, when a girl named Ivy Leclerc vanished from her family's chateau in northern France. Her bedroom, when broken into, was filled with dolls, none of which the family recognized. As whispers grew into dread, those who dared trace the pattern saw something deeper, darker. In 1890, a young scholar named Harlan Vexley wrote a paper titled Sympathetic Mechanisms in Postmortem Mediums. It was banned after publication. In it, he theorized that consciousness could be transferred, not just stored, but suspended using a matrix of emotionally charged material: porcelain, hair, fabric. He cited Thatch's dolls, naming them echo vessels, and warned that such constructs did not fade. A porcelain face in a shop window that feels too real. An heirloom passed through generations that no one remembers acquiring. A doll that never gathers dust. They are waiting still. For the one who will finish the circle, for the one who will listen back, they called. Today, 3 of the original dolls are known to remain. Perhaps you've seen one, so the next time you pass a doll's blank stare in the dark, resist the urge to turn away. This piece was made possible by our patrons. Our app is now live on iOS and Android. Download it to enjoy all of our stories, ad-free on the go. New subscribers get 1 month free.